Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Iron Deficiency. The ban list just came out. I'm at work again, which means that I had to use my secret magical powers to print out the ban list without taking a single look at it. Real talk, I just printed from the page without, trying to absorb the information. You're just gonna have to suspend your disbelief on this one a little bit. You have to conceptualize it like it's that scene in Series 4 of JoJo where, Josuke sees Pink Dark Boy but doesn't absorb it and is able to beat the hell out of Rohan as a result. That's me in the ban list. It's just got to work that way. Otherwise, you'll recognize that the entirety of this thing is ad-focused clickbait. Yeah, we'll make it to 10 minutes. Anyway, let's take a look at this. So Summon Sorceress was banned, first off, duh. Pretty happy about that. Yeah, not much to say on that. I don't think anyone really expected her to live forever. One step closer in the complete unification of the TCG and OCG ban lists, so fingers crossed for that inevitable date. I mean, it's very good for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it means that decks like the Thunder Dragon, Danger, Guard Dragon amalgamation deck no longer has the ability to extend ad infinitum, which is great news for individuals like me who like control decks and manageable board states. And it's also great news for people who didn't want to lose to Orcust over and over for the next format. Next is number 95, Galaxy Eyes Dark Matter Dragon. That's odd. Weird to see this one on here. Dark Matter Dragon was not oppressively broken, but it certainly did serve a broken purpose in a couple of specific decks. Really anything that could make the Galaxy Eyes Xyz monster would do so because it represents an Amorphage Goliath. You use its effect to send an Arc Brave and an Amorphage Goliath, bring back the Goliath, and suddenly your opponent is locked out of the extra deck. Turns out Domain of the Monarchs in a non-Monarch deck is pretty good. It was one more piece of a board-building strategy that ended up routinely in these Thunder Dragon amalgamation decks. And this is a cleaner hit than, hitting Arc Brave and, Goliath and Sloth and making Felgrand completely useless. So, I don't know. At the end of the day, it's three foolishes, and even if this wasn't the thing that broke it, eventually something would have. Rum. Huh. Okay, so the first thing I thought when I heard there was going to be a small ban list adjustment was that we are going to ban the hell out of that Azathot deck and leave everything else intact. That's what I thought the adjustment would be. This is that. It is a complete slaughter of that. Rank Up Magic Launch is the card that enabled Azathot on the opponent's turn, which is the method by which Azathot is routinely broken. However, it's a weird pick, right? I guess the consideration is this is better than banning Azathot because, Kali Yuga exists, and theoretically there's, a deck that could make a 7 and then rank up into Kali Yuga on your opponent's turn, but yeah, I don't know. I think Azathot still represents a kind of ticking time bomb in the format, and I would have liked to have seen that banned instead. At the end of the day, this just cements my belief that Bardiche is a fundamentally fair card, and if you ban the cards surrounding Bardiche that makes a strategy broken, the guy's completely fine. Keep Bardiche in the format forever, in my opinion. Ooh. So Lady Debug made it onto the limited list. This is interesting. It's a hit to Salamangreat, obviously, but it's kind of a nothing hit. It's, not that big of a deal. Some Salamangreat lists have already begun eschewing Lady Debug, and I think because she's $7 and it's an otherwise pretty budget deck. But there's also a potential reason you would do it to not have a crippling weakness to Infinite Impermanence and Effect Veiler that the deck just doesn't if you don't play her. If you double up on grindy consistency pieces. I do like it. I do think it's important to have small-scale consistency hits to meta decks to keep their power level in check, but yeah, don't think it's going to impact Salamangreat's playability. Certainly still a Tier 1 deck. Phantom Skyblaster is a completely different class of card. It is an extender, and it extends to infinity and beyond. It's one of those cards like Grinder Golem, where it's completely unfair at 3, but it's probably fine at 1 because you see it so rarely. And it's only good conditionally, right? Phantom Skyblaster does have scenarios where it just rots in your hand. They're just kind of few and far between. And as a facet of a deck that I think usually at this point is otherwise playing like 45 to 60 cards. I do appreciate relegating it to the status of limited, which means we'll see it very infrequently. I would like to see it move to Forbidden, I think, on a future list, similarly to the way Grinder Golem was put to 1 and then eventually banned. Kagari. Now that's interesting. Kagari. So we're doing Sky Striker hits, I see. Kagari's an interesting one because I think right now the fundamental problem with Sky Striker is that you lose the game if they see engage at all. And I don't mean like it ends up in their hand. I mean like it ends up in their hand or in their graveyard or set on their side of the field, or they look at one in their binder. Like, they have such a multitude of ways to get it out of any particular position that just glimpsing the card in any context means that you have been drowned in card advantage. And this means that trap-focused decks like Geist or Phantasm Spiral, if you're me, now really only have to negate a Kagari summon, and all of a sudden an engage can be stranded in the graveyard, sans like multi-roll, but that's not a particularly effective way to get it back, because then a single pop puts it away forever, and like multi-roll is vulnerable in ways that Kagari isn't. Yeah, I'm happy about this. I'm very happy. I still think that Striker is the best deck, especially because the second and third best decks were similarly neutered, and Kagari is not a giant hit to the strategy, but good to see it. Super Poly to Semi. Semi-limited list, again, as I've said a million times, should not exist, but if it is being used, should be used as a quarantine tank for potentially problematic cards. I think Super Polymerization fills that niche. Like, it's a good card that's extremely sacky, but we don't see it very often, and it does serve a meta purpose. I think this means that people will start playing dedicated Super Polymerization packages instead of, like, meme sacky builds. I certainly will. Yeah. And finally, Miscellaneousaurus at 3. Doesn't matter. Completely fine. Miscellaneousaurus at 3, it was at 1 because it was undoubtedly broken, but there was this other set of cards that was undoubtedly broken at the same time called Zodiacs. I think the fear was if Miscellaneousaurus and Danglong were both legal at the same time, people would be able to replicate Zodiac era power levels in terms of deck builds without Zodiac in the format. Like, there was this vacuum, and suddenly, like, previously underwhelming strategies became oppressively good. However, we banned Danglong, because here in America, we know how to do a ban list. And so, I think this is completely okay. Yeah, but that's it. Couldn't stretch it to 10. I'll get them next time. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, forward this to your elderly parents and grandparents who will watch it because they feel obligated to be a part of your lives. And make sure to direct your hate mail in the comments below. See you tonight for a 10-minute testing.